Hi everyone, my name is Bav and I'm the training specialist here at PixelPoint. Today we will be looking at how to set up BackOffice. This video will be split into two parts. This is part 1 of the BackOffice setup. Let's start by opening BackOffice and clicking on Point of Sale. From here, click on System Setup Options. This is the heart of all BackOffice programming, and the settings you apply here will pertain to the entire system. As you can see here, there are multiple tabs in the System Setup Options window. In part 1 of BackOffice Setup, we will be looking at the first half of the tabs. Let's start with the Systems tab, starting with the field called Company. This is where you will fill in the name of the establishment. The name that you fill in here will carry on to all BackOffice reports. Next, we have the field called Num Stations, which stands for Number of Stations. This is the number of stations being used in the system. This field is used for reporting purposes, which allows the programmer to identify how many stations are programmed within the station setup. Next, we have Store Number. This is also used for reporting purposes, and in the case of a standalone system, you can enter the store number in here, but in the event that the store is a part of an enterprise system, then this field will generate automatically based on the corporate system settings. We'll use this field to identify this store within the corporate reporting. Under the company name, we have some checkboxes, starting with close to the bottom left of the page, there's a checkbox called Auto End of Day System. This is unchecked. That means you will be running the end of day manually. You determine when is a good time to run the end of day process. Please keep in mind that with this, your data may not represent your true 24 hours because you may run this at 1 a.m. one night and 3 a.m. the next night, depending on when your employees have the time to run the end of day. If this auto end of day system is checked off, then you can set a time when the end of day will run, and this way the end of day will run the same time every night. The next checkbox is Use Inventory Manager. If you are using PixelPoint's integrated inventory manager system, you will want to check this. This will open up the interface between the POS and the inventory system and will begin reporting stock depletions. Do not check this if you are not using the inventory manager. Next, we have reservations. This opens up the interface between PixelPoint and the reservations manager system. Ask for daily weather conditions is for an establishment that may have an outdoor dining area, and because those sections are outdoors, your sales depend on the weather conditions. This will help explain why sales are up or down in your sales summary report, because this will prompt the end of day manager to enter the weather at the end of the day. Lastly, we have printers have dual ply paper. And when this is checked off, your credit card slips will print only once. If it is unchecked, the credit card slips will print twice, once for the establishment and once for the customer. Under the checkboxes, we have under Pixel Authorization Manager. If you are not using the Authorization Manager, you can mark this as not used. Server mode means that the credit authorization program is running on the POS server, and station mode means the credit authorization program is running on a station. In both the server mode and station mode, the unit requires internet access in order to run the authorization manager. Next, to the right, we have Disable Auto Prompt for Member Coupons. PixelPoint records accumulated points based on past purchases, and those points can be redeemed for client retention programs. For example, if your establishment runs a system and every 100 points they get a free drink with their purchase, once the customer has 100 points, a prompt will appear asking if the customer would like to redeem their points. You have the option of turning the auto prompt off in the case that this is not something you want to appear on your screen. Under that, we have the Show Third-Party Reference field. This field assists with interfacing PixelPoint with third-party software. This will prompt a screen called Third-Party Reference. For example, if you need a common reference field between a method of payment between PixelPoint and an accounting system, you can then use this to create and populate that field to make it work. To keep this field protected from users who are not programmers, you can uncheck this field after populating it, and the display showing that field will be hidden, but the contents will remain. Next, the field down is the customer display. Some ordering stations have the ability to have a customer display on the back side of the unit. Within PixelPoint Form Designer, you can program how you want the customer display to appear and work. This could show what the customer has ordered with prices. This form can be saved in the system and programmed here. If you do select a customer display, you can also upload a screensaver which will appear when the display is idle. This is a great way to advertise your business with your logo or show promotions you are currently running within your establishment. Below that is a theme form, which can be customized through Form Designer, but there are some default themes that can be used as well. Shift rules is a function within PixelPoint that allows you to create a set of rules pertaining to shift breaks and overtime. Shift rules can be applied system-wide, so for example, if all staff, regardless of their job titles, are required to take a paid or unpaid break during their shift, you can apply that within here. If the shift rule is specific to a group of people within a certain position or an individual, then you can apply the shift rules elsewhere. And lastly, there's a system telephone mask. Because PixelPoint is designed to work in an international scope, a part of that pertains to member phone numbers. A phone number for a member in Canada would have a different format from one in Europe. By default, here the phone number is set up to North America, but you can change it depending on the location of the establishment. The next tab after that is called the Company tab, which is where you will provide your company information. This tab retains your basic contact and reporting information. For example, for a standalone site, much of this information is not critical. However, if this is a part of an enterprise, this information would be crucial because then head office would have the information stored in case they need to contact a specific branch. PixelPoint offers an interface with Microsoft MapPoint, which allows delivery drivers to map out their deliveries based on the address provided here. This could also help auto-populate address fields in other sections of BackOffice. Here, you can also have a company logo field, which can be used to add a company logo to BackOffice reports. The next tab over is called Taxes. In here, you're allowed to program up to 5 taxes. Each tax has its own tab and therefore its own programming. The first field is description. Within here, you create a name of the tax, which will now appear on your reports, but also on the POS screen and customer receipts. Beneath that is rate, which is the percent rate of the tax. In this example, I have 13 under tax 1 rate, which means this tax equates to 13% of whatever it is applied to. You can also apply decimal percentages such as 5.5%. Apply gratuity pertains to tips depending on the establishment's local tax laws. It may be legally necessary to apply tax to any gratuity under the transaction. If this is the case, check this box under any applicable taxes. Beneath that is the accounting code. This is used for reporting purposes and can be used for a general ledger account number that pertains to that tax. Next, there is a tax type. By default, taxes are calculated by percentage, but because PixelPoint can be configured under so many parts of the world, there may be a tax based on a set amount as opposed to a percentage. If this is the case, you can select amount instead of percentage. Next, we have Apply on Top of. Here, all taxes that are programmed within PixelPoint will appear. As you can see, we cannot select this current tax we are looking at here, in this example, the HST tax, but all other taxes will appear in this box, and you can select which tax you would like to apply this specific tax on top of. It is vital that you understand the tax laws within the region of the establishment to know if you can apply taxes on top of other taxes. On the bottom portion of the Taxes tab, there is the Least Common Unit portion. This pertains to the rounding of some currencies. Some countries, such as Australia and Canada, round cash amounts to the nearest 5 cents. This is where you can round values if that is something that pertains to you. This first field is called cash. In this example, it is 5, which means 5 cents. For example, in Canada, the cent value is only rounded up or down with cash. If you are paying with credit card, the cent value does not round up or down. This is why the charge value is 0, because there is not a transaction of physical cash taking place. However, if where this establishment is located, the laws are that credit charge payments are rounded up or down, this is where that can be done. Round up allows you to set breakpoints, which is where it will round up to the next 5 cents. So for example, if the customer's total came up to $4.52, it would round down to $4.50. If the total was $4.53, it would then round up to $4.55. The registration portion is where you will enter the seller and tax number information. Next is VAT, which stands for Value Added Tax. In some countries, VAT is very common. The price you pay includes all applicable taxes. By checking this box, all item pricing will be considered tax inclusive. This is also common for alcoholic beverages and when you buy gas. However, if you are in a situation where this is not used on food items, but the restaurant has a bar, PixelPoint allows you to program a hybrid of the two, so if that is the case, do not check that environment. Instead, use feature code 1 in product setup, which we will be looking at in a future video. Next is the include VAT in product cost and reports. This pertains to inventory. If taxes are commonly rolled into the prices you pay for in stock items, then you can check this box, and taxes for all goods sold will show here and help make your reports more accurate. POS reports is where you go about determining which report or group of reports you wish to apply to events such as employee cash out, clock out, and end of day reports. The first is employee cash out reports and employee clock out reports. In the event you wish to add or make changes to these reports, you can select reports from the POS reports file. Those reports beginning with SQL are wide carriage reports used for back-office printing. Those starting with SQL POS are narrow carriage reports for front-end printers. Next is end-of-day batch reports. This entry allows you to add additional reports which are hard-coded already. It is called the POS end-of-day summary report. At the bottom of the screen, we see View Category Sales and View Category Sales Summary. These are management reports and appear in the front end within manager functions and sales functions, so within this you can adjust front end reports used for managers. And the last tab we're going to discuss in this video for back office setup part 1 is a preset payment tab. The main focus of this tab is to set preset cash payment buttons for faster service at the front end. By populating any of these 6 fields, the system will create a corresponding cash settlement button. These are not denominational amounts. They are total tender amounts, so let's say a check came to a total of $90 and the customer offered $100 cash. You can select the button for $100, which can be created on the Preset Payment tab, and select Cash will appear within the Finish screen on the POS. The Auto Apply Preset Payment checkbox can be unchecked and the system will accept the amount of the button selected, but it will not auto-tender into cash. This is helpful in establishments that accept more than one currency, so when you select a preset payment, it will prompt you to select cash, which is the local currency, or the currency that is being given by the customer. Over to the right is Allow Pay-ins, Payouts. Checking this will apply pay-ins and payout buttons to the employee settings screen. Tender balancing is a process of reconciling your money at the end of your shift. As part of the cash out process, a window will display showing each method of payment you collected within your shift. This is where you count up everything you have, enter it, and your cash out reports will show whether the balance matches or you are over or under what the system says you should have. Here you select whether you want to balance at the end of the employee shift or at the end of the day, which would be the entire establishment collected earnings, which will be the manager's task instead of the employees. This concludes part 1 of the back office training video. I hope this training was helpful and look out for future videos.